Welcome to the Virtual CPA Success Show for creative agencies, the go-to resource for agency owners looking to scale their business. Join us every week to stay ahead of the curve and position your agency for future success.
Jody, when thinking about how clients are working here, what are you seeing in pipelines? What's the feedback you're getting from our clients on pipeline?
Yeah, I just got back from a SOTA event, and I'd say the main thing that people are talking about right now is the length of the close. It's just taking forever from start to finish. A lot of ghosting is happening right now, and I wouldn't say that the pipelines are drying up. I would just say that the length of close is really making a lot of folks nervous.
So it's not. So if you've got a client that you're talking to who's maybe feeling some of these things, we can all agree that a lot of people across the industry are having some issues with pipeline, but they maybe don't know where to go from here. And they don't know, do I need to keep moving? Do I need to try something different? What sort of things do I need to do to fix this? And that's where I really think our guest today, Simon Severino with Strategy Sprints, is going to really help agencies create some systems and processes around solving that very issue. Hi, all. Welcome back to another episode of the Virtual CPA Success Show. I'm your host for today's episode, Joey Kinney. I'm joined by Jody Grundon. Jody, how are you today?
Doing well. Thanks, Joey.
How are things in sunny Florida? It looks sunny behind you.
It is very sunny. It's 88 degrees right now. Really nice. Can't complain.
Yeah, just twist the knife a little bit more. Why don't you?
Okay, it's 88 degrees, no humidity. Can't complain.
We're joined today by Simon Severino with Strategy Sprints. Simon, how are you?
Hey, Joey. Hey, Jody. Great to be here.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on in the digital space, particularly with perhaps some lulls in the sales cycle, pipelines being extended, traditional win percentages not being where they are, projects being extended, timelines being extended, all of the things that are going on in the digital space right now. And I don't want to say it feels like a challenging time. What are you seeing, Simon, with your clients and where you're working in terms of how things have been going recently?
We talk to around 12, 13 digital agencies per week about sales, about pipeline. What we're saying, and I get their sales recordings around 5, 6 per week to give feedback on, right? So what we're seeing is that 1/3 of agencies right now is hitting numbers and 2/3 are below. And that is a little bit lower than usual. Not much lower, but it's a little bit lower than usual. And what's massively changing is the length of the sales cycle.
Yep.
It takes more meetings for them to close. And so they get ghosted more. It takes more meetings to close. Where it took them on average 2 meetings to close a new client, it takes them now 6 or 7. There are more people involved with the decision, even if they're working with mid-sized or small teams. Even there, they ask each other much more and they weigh the decision much longer. And they have tougher conversation around price and around the length of their work.
One of the things
that kind
Jody.
of leads me real quick, Simon. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What you're doing. How you help creative agencies and others get to that end goal.
Yeah, Simon Severino. I'm the founder of Strategy Sprints, which is a consultancy for agencies. That's what we do. It's 21 years that I do nothing else every day. I started as a shrink. And very, very quickly was bored to death by their stories. They were telling me 20 years ago, I was thinking of my mom. Come on, what are you doing today? Oh, well, today I'm launching a product in this huge Costco. I say, oh, let's talk about the product launch. No, I want to talk about my dream. I say, okay, I'm wrong here. Where's the exit? I'm just interested about your launch, not about your dreams of the past. So I quickly pivoted to being a coach. And I quickly realized that when you coach a team, a business leader, their main topic is sales. And if you talk growth, you have their attention and you get all the budget that you want.
Yep.
So I did fall in love with that topic. And turns out that the skills of a shrink are 80% of the skills of a sales coach, because you need to understand the other person. You need to create a safe environment for them to take decisions, to take the right decisions, and to move along and buy. That's the sales process in a nutshell. It gets more complicated when you have an agency, but not that much more complicated. You have to start a conversation. You have to follow up on the conversation, intensify that into the commitment of working together. When you work
Mhm.
together, you have to make them so happy that they bring their friends. And you have to cross an upsell, meaning, all right, what else can we do?
Mhm.
And you've been doing this for how long with agencies?
Now it's 21 years.
Nice. So 21 years working with agencies all across the world, I'm assuming, and
Yes.
helping them achieve their sales goals. That's exciting stuff for sure. Now, you had mentioned length of time. Length of time to close for a lot of agencies. Just recently attended an event in Mexico City. And there's probably 100 agency owners there roughly, and with that, I would say that was the big topic over drinks at the end of the day. People are kind of opening up and being vulnerable and saying the same thing. It's like, things were going really well, then all of a sudden it just kind of screeching stop where they're not sure. Things that closed pretty quickly are taking forever, and it's not saying they're not closing. It's just they're just taking forever, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Why do you think that is? Because these folks weren't just in the United States; they weren't in Europe. They were all over the place.
So one of the reasons is that the old way of selling is broken.
Hmm.
It was broken all the time, but when liquidity has a crunch, then people
Mhm.
start thinking more thoroughly about how they spend, and they start thinking more thoroughly about costs versus investments. So the costs are turned down, of course, in times of low liquidity.
Mhm.
Many
Yep.
people are afraid that maybe they might have a stagflation or a recession in their country. So they start being more wise with their cash flow. And this is something that I am telling people, agency owners, since 21 years. This is the
Mhm.
first year they listen to me. Uh, I've been telling them you have to turn all your costs into variable costs. Don't have
Mhm.
fixed costs. Turn them into variable costs. So when there is less work, you're paying less because you don't want to pay from your revenues, you want to pay from your profits. So uh, turn all your contracts into variable contracts. When there is more work, you pay more from the profits. Everybody makes more money. And when there is less work, you pay less. And I wrote a whole book about it. And there is one chapter in Strategy Sprints, which is
Mhm.
a whole chapter about cost management. And for years, nobody read that chapter. Now people are reading the chapter, and it's getting translated in Chinese as we speak. I'm happy about that because it's
Great.
time. It's time.
Mhm.
So cost management is really important. Go through your main positions. Most agencies we work with, they are already remote agencies, and they don't
Mhm.
have like headquarters and that kind of
Right. Mhm.
um, costs. So the next position is people and then software. Software, keep it. People, find a smart way to let everybody be part of raising profits,
Mhm.
but also be motivated that there are profits. So, what part of the compensation can you make flexible? Can you make around the profits, not the time? Time was never a good way
Right.
to measure work, but impact is. So, how can you make it around the impact? And how can you help people see what the impact actually is? So what we do is we help them change the way their meetings look like. We usually install 2 sales meetings per week, and they go, Simon, it's just 5 people and we should have 2 sales meetings per week. Yes. So the first, typically it's on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then on a Friday.
Mhm.
It's 50 minutes.
Okay.
The first one is the so-called pipeline meeting. In the pipeline meeting, we have a very specific format. It's 2 questions, and it's around everybody get reports. These are the opportunity that I created this week That's the agreed next step. 1 round.
Okay.
And then in some of those, they will go into details. Okay, what's the estimated closing date and what's the estimated deal value? But that's in the CRM. You don't need to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is that you create a culture of opportunity creation, because sometimes in agencies, there is somebody who's just doing creative. There is somebody who's just doing the books. There is somebody who's just doing insert the task, and they think they are not responsible for opportunity creation. That's not true, because when you're a team, if you whatever your role is to make the team win.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are defense, the team will not win if you just do your best in defending. If you are offense, the team will not win if you just score a ton of goals or points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your job, whatever your job is to make the team win.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say that to teams, but if you want them to feel it and to live it, you have to change the way they meet. That's why we start with the Monday or Tuesday meeting, and we install this one question: which opportunities did I create this week, and what's the agreed next step? Sounds so like a tiny difference, but it creates a whole new world for an agency. Because now,
So do you go through this? I mean, who's all in this meeting? Is it really everybody in this meeting? The 5 people? I mean, who's in the meeting itself?
yes, everyone is in that meeting in a small agency.
Okay.
Let's say there are 5 people, everyone is there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have, for example, somebody who just does client projects. So they are in the work.
Mm-hmm.
They are not in a sales role. And they will go, well, I didn't. Then we will ask, you sure? You didn't meet any clients this week? Oh yeah, I met clients. Okay, what did you talk about? Oh, nothing. I just made the creative and sent the creative. All right. What did they say about the creative? No, I didn't talk to them. So what about next week? You talk to them and ask, hey, what's going on? Which creative did resonate more? Because, yeah, you got the analytics side of things. Okay, this is something that you will report to them, but they will also tell you something. They will tell you how happy they are. They will tell you what's the momentum. They will tell you what's next. And that's the information that you have to feed back to us salespeople, because we want to know when to call them for an upsell, when to call them just to congratulate, when not to call them because it's a bad week. Don't call them this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important. You want to ask for referrals in peak moments. So the next thing that we do is we say, all right, who is responsible for operations? They go, nobody. I said, "Hey, guys, operations is the client delivery, okay? That's operations. So, okay, let's pick someone who's responsible, who takes that. Okay, I take it. All right. Now for the next 2 weeks, we will work on the flow of your delivery. Simon, but every client project is different. Yeah, that's the problem. So we will find the ideal client. So we look back in the last 6 months, which one was the project that was most fun and most profitable.
Mm-hmm.
That we will draw as the ideal project, and we will try to standardize the heck out of it. So each module will be ready for the next project and will be reused. Like you have Lego parts, and when you have to build a horse, you pull the Lego parts immediately. The client will always feel that this is customized. He said he wants a horse, he got a horse.
Mm-hmm.
But the team will never feel that, oh my God, I have to reinvent the wheel again. For the team, it's just, okay, let's put together these 7 pieces, and then they get a horse. Next client comes and says, no, I want a pool. All right, of course, customized. We'll do it for you. Hey, team, put together all the blue pieces. We need a pool. Okay. And then they just pick the blue pieces and you have a pool. But this is the art. This is what I describe in the book, Strategy Sprints. This is the art of running an agency that's actually resilient. And this is how you create a business, and especially a sales situation that's repeatable. So we will look at what works, build Lego parts out of it, standardizing, writing down, creating SOPs, standard operating procedures, which means you have Lego parts. When the next client comes in, you will be fully flexible, but also not burning out and not reinventing the wheel, which will increase your profitability and make sales easier. So we have triggered the culture to be more a culture of opportunity creation. Now, even the people in an admin role or in a client delivery role, they are looking for opportunities. So you will get more leads just from current work.
And I think that's a really important point, because Jody, I'm sure you can think back over the years of the number of clients you've worked with who have been so focused on that next external sale, what in real estate we used to call the hunting, right?
Yeah.
They'd forget about gathering additional work from their existing client base and their existing customer base. And I'm sure there's analytics. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I would imagine it's a lot cheaper to do gathering than it is having to go hunt for all of your new
It's
opportunities.
cheaper. The cost of acquisition are much higher in hunting because you have to
Mhm.
do the hunting, and most of it doesn't bring anything. But a current client who's, let's say, they are happy at 7 out of 10, bringing them from 7 to 8.5, that's much less effort. It costs you almost nothing,
Mhm.
and it's easy to expand the work from there or get 2 referrals. Who else needs this? So what we help, the next step, now that we have operations, let's say, organized, now we build in referral engines, little flywheels. So automated emails that go out and ask, hey, how's this week going from 1 to 10? What else do you need?
Mhm.
What can we improve? And we make it a regular thing every 30 days, every 7 days. We just make it the new normal for the clients.
Mhm.
So whenever they say 9 or 10, there's the next automated email that goes out. Oh, thank you for a 10. And the question is, how likely is it that you will recommend us? So if it's a 9 or a 10, that means they want to recommend you. So there
Mhm.
is another email that goes out and say, hey, thank you for the 10 on the question, how likely is it that you recommend us? Who are the 2 people that I can help? I'm happy to help. What's the best way of connecting to them? So that's one little referral engine that you can build in. The next one is power hours with your best clients. Hey, let's sit together. Let me help you. I have a network. You have a network. Let me help you by introducing you to people in my network that you need to talk to. So tell me, who do you need to talk to next to solve your goals? This is what we call key account. You become their business partner. You're not just somebody who's creating videos for somebody else. You are a business partner. You are interested in their success. You are in a journey together. And the journey is called You Grow, I Grow with You.
Jody, you've said that to us in our business about the importance of staying. I think you used the word sticky, right? The
Mhm.
importance of staying sticky with your clients, and I think that's a huge opportunity for a lot of agencies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the more flywheels you build in,
Mm-hmm.
the more resilient you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the point is to build systems that compound, because goals are fun and they might energize you for a while, but when stuff gets hard in the market, the goal doesn't help anybody. you don't
Mhm.
you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That's why we will install in a 90-day sprint 5, 6, 7, 8 systems that are revenue systems, like this. How you onboard the client is one system.
Mm-hmm.
How you create wows and peak moments in between is one system. How you create surprise moments is one system. How you ask for their satisfaction level is a system. How you ask for a referral if it's a 9 or 10 is a system. All these kinds of systems will stack up. And when there is a liquidity crunch in the markets, which you can expect every 10 years, I'm long enough in the in the market, every 10 years, expect some form of correction, especially in the tech world. So we build for that. We build an agency to finance a life in every situation, in every weather, in every market. So we create these little compounding systems and we stack them upon each other. And when there is a tough year, okay, of those 8, maybe 3 don't work, but you still have 5. So you still sleep well, you are relaxed when you come into the next conversation. Because one thing that you don't want to do is to go hungry into the next sales conversation.
Mhm.
You're 100% sure to lose the deal. If I meet you and you're desperate to sell me, you won't sell me anything. I can smell this from a mile. It's like going hungry to the grocery store. You wouldn't do that, right? You just come back with chips and Red Bull. But if you're not hungry and you go to the grocery store, you buy broccoli and rice.
Yeah, how do you work with a business development person that comes from a high commission structure to really a low commission structure? They still feel that they've got to prove themselves all the time, and it seems like they're wanting to bring in any sale, like you had mentioned, versus a quality sales. How do you transition somebody from that structure to the structure we're talking about here?
We are working with all kinds of commission structures in all kind of different countries and seniority levels. There are people who love 100% commission, and if they don't have that, because they like the intensity and the pressure that comes with it, they want high risk, high reward, and they are happy in that situation because they need more pressure. Then there are people who need lower pressure, not zero. If they need zero pressure, sales is not where they should be working. But lower. And so those people we try to protect from having too much pressure. But it's really, I tried different compensation models. It's really individual. Whatever you feel right, go with that, and then ask every month, hey, how are we doing? Is the compensation structure helping you? Are the results? We measure results every 7 days, latest. So we are ongoing calibrating, recalibrating each part of the system. There is not one right or wrong commission structure. Just find the one that motivates your people, and it might even change over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you could also end up having different commission structures for different people. I think that's an important thing. You don't have to, if you have one person who does want to do the hunting and that person wants to be on a high commission structure, great. That can be very different from your project manager or ops manager who is going to be more in charge of some of those gathering type things, finding existing opportunities within your client base. So it doesn't
Yes,
have to be a one size fits all.
absolutely no. We have different setters. So we have setters and closers.
Mm-hmm.
We are also an agency. So we have setters and closers. The setters start the conversation and bring it up to booking a meeting on the calendar. The closers take it from the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And we have different structures inside of the setters team. We have different structures because different personality types.
Mm-hmm.
And also the closers have a different structure depending on seniority, personality type, and what's best for them to perform at their highest ability.
So when thinking about, obviously, like we've now built a system, we've created an identity as a sales team. What sort of things need to happen in presentation in order to either increase? Because I think you could have the best system in the world, but if you're not presenting it properly, you're not properly. And I love the way you talked about it earlier, where we're looking at things and outcomes. Like if we can get away from our clients seeing us as a cost and them seeing us as an investment because we're presenting our value properly, we're going to increase the odds that we're going to have a successful outcome with them. What sort of things are you looking for in presentation?
You mean I'm in front of the client and they're asked, they want to work with us, and we start presenting what we do? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So the first step is don't present. Don't present. I see still agencies presenting 10 minutes, 5 minutes. 1 minute is too much. So I show you what I do in order to not present, because I like to talk. And if you ask me, hey, how can you double my revenue? My natural impulse would be to talk for an hour. And that's the wrong thing, right? We measure talking time in the sales calls because, Zoom, etc., they have AI meanwhile. So you can live see. And our goal is to be below 31% speaking time. So we track that, and in the weekly sessions we talk about it. If anybody is below 31%, let's talk. And my helper, so if you're like me and you talk a lot, my helper is to have a list of questions in front of me and to have my talking points literally in front of me. So here are my talking points for the people watching. It's called repeatable sales. It's 8 steps of every agency sales, but here are my personal talking points and favorite questions. Because it should never feel like a script, but it should always have talking points. And the important thing when we coach is you never jump like from step 4 to step 5 without making sure that you have validated. So each step has an assumption and the validation. For example, you talk about the scope of work, then you talk about the budget. Scope of work, all right, what are the deliverables? And then there is budget stage, step 5. In budget, there are 2 steps. Your assumption, what their budget is, so what they want to invest. And then there is the validation that that's their budget. You don't move to the next step, which is statement of work, before you have validated their budget. And there is a whole system how you extrapolate their range before you say any price. Because sometimes you can go much higher with the same thing. So you have to wait until you know the real budget, and then you will say the price. And sometimes it will be double the price of what you said to the other guy one day before, because they just have more budget. And that's fine. So you explore the range. And how do you explore the range is that you make an assumption about what they are able and willing to spend, but then you validate the assumption. So in the CRM for agencies, we literally have 2 different columns. And the one says budget estimated, and the other one said budget validated. And you are allowed to move it to step 6 only after you have validated the budget. Is an example. We double clicked into one of those 8 steps to show you how seriously we take each step of the conversation. And because if you learn it once, those 8 steps, then it will be a natural flow. It goes like domino. Wow, you closed it in one? How did you close 25K in one call? I said, I just did the 8 things that I always do. It's a natural flow, and you have them lead, and you help them decide, and you help them buy. You don't sell. In our method, you don't sell anything. You help them buy.
And that's
the shrink. That's the shrink. Yeah.
And we'd say something very similar to our team, which is the really, really good ones are able to ask questions without asking questions. Like if you can get to a point where you're able to glean the information that you need through a conversation versus having what feels like a scripted set of questions, that's the magic where you're able to kind of get through those 8 steps without them realizing that you're going through the 8 steps.
The more natural, the better.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is if you skip one of those, you will get ghosted.
Oh, yeah.
You will hear, I have to talk about this with my partners. You will hear, oh yeah, sounds great. Let me come back to you. Which is, it's over. That's game over.
Yeah.
So a question for you is that a lot of, because I tell people this a lot when they're in the meeting. That's kind of how we sell too. So we go through basically very similar steps there. We're talking the least amount on the conversation, at least hopefully. I never really measured it to 31%, but that'd be interesting to see if we go back and see where we're at on those, because that'd be easy to find. But the one thing that a lot of folks, and it's kind of funny because no matter how big or small they are, a lot of them have a problem asking them what their budget is. Mm-hmm. And I spoke with an agency. They're about $10 million in revenue. They had this $1 million deal that they're working on, and the owner came up and said, hey, I'm thinking 750,000. We're justifying the numbers. I'm like, man, I don't know. That's pretty tight. You sure you want to do that? And we kept going back and forth. And I just said, what? Why don't you just ask the client, how much their budget is? And he's like, well, they'll never tell me. And it kept going on. I go, I think you need to ask the client. And it was kind of funny because I was during a conference and also my phone's lighting up. I mean, literally lighting up where he's calling me it seemed like every minute. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an SOS here going on. So I bow out of the conference and I pick up the phone. He goes, Jody, you're a genius. I go, why is that? He goes, well, it's not 750. We're getting 1.5 million for it. I'm like, what happened? He goes, well, I just asked him.
Let's double click into this. They will never tell me their real budget. 70% of agencies, they think they will not get the real budget in the conversation. And that's why step one here, after coaching so many agencies, step one has become visualize. Where is it here? Visualize. Step one is visualize. And they go, I can't visualize. I'm in Zoom. You can. You put up a whiteboard, and then I show them a little technical coaching, how to have half of your screen be a whiteboard and draw on your iPad, or just you open up a Google Doc and start writing there with them. Also, the statement of work will be done with them. And so when they see the deliverables and the starting date and the budget, which we call the invest, then they will see, oh, it's mine. Yeah, sure, I'm signing it. It's mine. I'm not surprised. So the next step is you really visualize, because when you visualize, they know what you are thinking. This is the shrink again. I cannot see inside of your head. You cannot see inside of my head. You don't know what I'm thinking, except I say it, or except I write it down, and then you see what I am hearing. Otherwise, you have no chance. And when you don't do that, why should I trust you if I don't know what you're thinking? Why would you trust me if you don't know if I'm actually listening? So the basic human need of every person, shrink again, the basic human need is to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. That's why you have to visualize. And you use their words. Mm-hmm. Another trick. People hate a change that comes from the outside, but people love their own change. If you tell me to change the way I eat, I don't like to hear that. But if tomorrow I have the idea to eat more eggs, I will like that, and I will defend that. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to hear from anybody what I should do. Nobody likes, right? Nobody likes that. So you use their words, and those words become the offer. So, and this is a mistake I see a lot. Oh, I sent them the proposal and then I didn't hear from them. Of course you didn't. You never send a proposal. But how do they get the proposal? You schedule the next meeting. So, hey, yeah, send me a proposal. Sure. What about Friday, 2 p.m.? We sit together for half an hour and I bring the proposal and we refine it together and we align it together. If they say no, it's over. Kick them out of your sales funnel. They don't want to work with you. Mm-hmm. It's not the right moment. Set them on repeat. Follow up in 90 days. Close lost, follow up in 90 days. If they say yes, you move on. In that meeting, you come with your Google Doc or your whiteboard. You visualize it with them. Hey, Bob, last time we said, right now the problem is this time problem, this monetary problem, this resource problem. The 3 goals are the deliverables, as you stated them. Are they still the same, or anything changed? All right. Then you said that you have budgeted this range right now for this kind of change that you want to initiate. Is that still correct? Yeah, it's still correct. We are in that range. All right. Can we move on? Can I now show you how we would put this in a statement of work? Look, this is what I drafted so far. It says draft, and it's exactly their words. Is this what you want to move forward, Bob? Yeah, that's exactly what we said last time. Now it's an easy forward. Okay, when do you want to start?
So you're giving, at that point, you're giving both sides stakes at the table, which I like. And I also like your point about some folks are just going to self-select out of that process, and that's fine. It's part of the
That's
game.
fine. The sooner the better, because I don't
Mhm.
want to waste my time with them if they're
Exactly.
not gonna sprint. In our case, if they're not gonna work with us, why should I spend so much time with them? So we will move on if there is a partnership. And partnership in the first meeting means I I feel seen, heard, understood. You feel seen, heard, understood. We
Mhm.
want more. In the second meeting means I understand now what we can do together. What's the change that you want to drive, and how I can help you make sure that it works. Third meeting means we have a statement of work that we both agreed. There are our words in there. The budget fits both sides, and we have a starting date in the calendar.
Mhm.
Those are the three meetings. Generally, it might change from country to country, but generally that's a sales process of an agency, and it's these three conversations. And if in one conversation, in one of those three, you hear that they don't want to go to the next step, then you quickly escalate it to, oh, you still want me to send you something, even if you know that our process is to create it with you. In this case, when people say this, it generally means that they either don't trust my process or that they don't trust me. Which one is it?
I love it. I love it. I mean, this is basically how we run our sales process. Is basically verbatim how you'd mentioned, with the one exception that I took note of, is that we have them create the basically statement of work in front of us. What we do is we then go back and write it in, and then it automatically gets sent to them that same day. So they get it pretty simultaneously. But scheduling another time to actually go through it, I like that idea right from the sales close. I mean, why not? You can still send it to them, but you probably could go over, or do you say, don't send it to them at all? Just you've already
Don't send it
agreed
at all.
upon it.
In our method, you don't send it at all, and you even have them calculate all of this. Okay, if I create 70 creatives for you per month, what what amount of time am I saving your team? And then they go, oh, 20 hours a week. I will not calculate 20 times 4 for them and tell them how much per month they're saving in terms of time. I will say, I'm bad at math. How much does it make per month? And I will have them calculate. So that's our method. They drive the process. They say, oh, 20 times 4. Okay, that's the amount. And then I write it down. So they drive the process. I support that it works. Because that's an agency is, your success support. So it's a taster, it's a simulation of the work that will happen later. We want them to drive and us to support their success. Because if you don't install that from the beginning, you will have a bad project afterwards where they want you to deliver, they don't deliver their part, and then nobody's happy. So it's from the beginning, it's co-creation, and they are in the driver's seat.
Simon, I love it. This has been a great conversation. I could talk to you about this for hours. Believe me.
I would
You've
say we
got
could
a lot
go
of
through all
great
9
insight.
steps in 3 hours.
Yeah. No worries there at all. Tell us a little bit more about your book, if you don't mind, and if somebody wants to reach out from the audience, I'm sure you'll get some takers on that. How would they get a hold of you?
Yes, so it's Strategy Sprints by Simon Severino. It's available wherever you buy books. Um, it's a cookbook for a digital agency. So, chapter 1, how to do marketing, with my checklists and my swipes, and always one client telling how they had a tough time getting marketing right, what we did, and how that shifted gears for them. And then next chapter is about sales. The next one is about client delivery. And the last two are about hiring, how to prepare the job description and the job post,
Mhm.
and then chapter 13 is how you actually onboard them so that they get productive in the first 2 weeks. They get going. So it's really a cookbook. Literally, I have it here on my desk. And when my marketing is not working, I go back to chapter 1 and I go, which step did I skip this time? Because I always think that I can be smarter than the process, and so I try to cut corners. And whenever I cut one corner and I skip one step, I get the invoice for that. It never works, and so I go back to the process.
Sure. Normally we like to end on something a little bit lighter. And Simon, I've been having these weird dreams lately, and I'd love for you just to dive into these with me.
Let,
One of the
let's talk
things
about
that
your
I
childhood.
enjoyed about reading in your background is it mentioned that you're an avid triathlete and a man of many different disciplines. One question that we really love to ask on some of our other shows is, and this comes from Jody's partner Dave Hartley here at the Anders office. A lot of us tend to identify ourselves as what we do. I'm an accountant or I'm a CEO, but more important than that, we're an and. There's always an and. And I would love to learn a little bit more about what your and is outside of being a coach and CEO of your agency.
You mean what additional roles I have, or what do I identify
And
with?
not even necessarily. I'll start with me. So I'm an accountant, and I am an avid Kansas State athletics sports fan. And so when I'm not thinking about accounting, I'm watching my teams and cheering for my teams and conversing with my friends about K-State sports. So I'd love to know what your and is outside of your role of being CEO and coach and those types of things.
Oh, those are two great questions. One is all my roles, my ends, and the other one is what do I identify with?
Mm.
So the first one is, I'm a husband, I'm a dad of 3, I'm a triathlete, I'm a CEO, I'm Italian. So there are many, many roles and facets there, and I enjoy all of them, but I am none of them.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And this is what I do. Uh, if you ask me what I am, I am, period. That's it. I have a purpose in life, and I am not the body and I'm not the mind. That is clear. And I'm not these roles. I go into these roles, I enjoy them, I rock and roll them, but that's not me. If the business goes really, really well, I don't feel better. If the business goes really bad, I don't feel less better. I don't sleep less well. That's not me. Who I am is consciousness. I am this consciousness right now, right here, and I have a purpose. My purpose is to bring people together and light them up and experience happiness and joy. That's my purpose. And if you take all of these roles away from me, father, agency owner, etc., I still wake up in the morning, have a purpose, and I get going. And that is maybe important for agency owners because otherwise, in a recession, you feel terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year you think you are a hero. You are none of both. There are things that are temporary and there are things that are eternal. Identify with the eternal. So a good tip is to do yoga and to read very old books. Very old books. Pre-printing press. Like the Bible or very old philosophy or yogic scriptures. Amazing. All the scriptures, the very old scriptures, they anchor you into your real being, which
Mm-hmm.
is not temporary. Because otherwise, as a business owner, in this roller coaster, you burn out. So you have to space out the weekend but also in the evening, really not identify with the business. Otherwise, it owns you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be owned by the business. You own the business.
Simon, you couldn't have said that any better.
Mm-hmm.
Same here with me. I identify as as a husband, a father of 2, and in the business is just simply what I do. I mean, it's nothing to do with who I am, I guess. And you're right. It's kind of funny you mentioned that. I don't get a high when the business is going well, and I don't get a low when it's not. It's just part of what I do, and I think that's important as business owners to. And that really goes with any business owner for the most part. It's important to pull yourself away from that and get yourself out of that mindset, because you are not the business. If the business fails, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means the business fails. And that's what a lot of folks have a hard time. And so what they start doing is they start throwing all these excuses and blames and that sort of thing. And it's like that doesn't go anywhere. Business is who you are. If you're great personally with your personal finances, more likely your business will be pretty strong financially as well. So there's a lot that translates and goes back and forth with that. And so, I love the conversation. Thanks for being on the show. It's been great, and I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of listeners. My guess will be you'll get some definitely some sales on that book. We've bought a couple ourselves, since we've got a couple books ourselves, and with that, I'm sure there'll have more folks out there, and hopefully they take you up on some of the offers that you've offered here. Appreciate the time you spent on the show today.
Thank you. It was fun. And if people want to download some of the tools and the processes that we were speaking about, they are open source on our website. It's strategysprints.com, and agency owners can implement a lot of what we talked on their own just by downloading them. And if afterwards they still wanna talk, they click something on our website and we can talk.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
What a show. I really enjoyed that.
Enjoy this podcast? Visit our website, summitcpa.net, to get more tips and strategy for achieving business success. We're here to be a resource in this ever-changing industry.